this story, everything about Cave Story from where it is now to how you discovered it is amazing.
It's like a fairy tale for all of us.
Yeah.
It's one dude makes it, takes him 5 years to make the game, sets it out, releases it for free, doesn't think any about it. When he started the game, he was in college, he wasn't married. By the time he was done, had a job, had a wife, had a baby. And fast forward to now, and now it's on Switch. We've taken what we've done in the past, but we put the same Nicalis spin on it, where we improve the game. So right here, you see the original version didn't have these really cool physical water effects. So you jump in the water, and it moves around, and we've added lighting to the levels and certain little effects that not that we couldn't do before, but we were kind of like, we're putting it on Switch. Why don't we give it an interesting look? And Daisuke, our Studio Pixel, the creator of the game, he loves it. He's like, oh, this is awesome. I wish I would have been able to do this back in that era. And it just comes down to, he was one guy, programmed it, he designed it, he wrote the story, did all the pixel art, and we have a team working on this for him, so.
Really?
Yeah.
So no longer is he just doing everything by himself?
He doesn't have to, yeah. He hasn't, he's strictly in a supervisor director role where he gets to say, like, I'd like it like this, I don't like it like this, I want this, I want this. And that way he can make more games. Yeah. You know, the game creators, guys like Daisuke.
That's what I want to talk about. Yeah, you work so well with a lot of these studios, like these smaller devs that just, you know, you give them a lot of chance to do it right because they wouldn't want to give their property to someone else that would mess with it. You take care of these guys.
I love video games. I love to play games. So the motivation for the company was never let's make a bunch of money or let's make money off of these. There's these great games that need to be played or need to be discovered or need to reach a wider audience. And that allows us to still keep the creativity behind them and the flow and everything without saying like, okay, we can't do this or we shouldn't do this for various reasons. Where large companies have to make those decisions. We don't. Yeah,
you know, you certainly don't. I remember how you said don't die. And he's dying a lot.
He's dying a lot.
He's dying a lot. That was the only note that I've ever
and this is just the first cave. We should switch. So for the Switch version, no pun intended, we put in a bunch of new challenge modes. So we'll go ahead and quit out right here, and there we go. Look at that.
That's exciting stuff, bro. You can get out of his level. Oh man.
But right here you have machine gun challenge.
What is all this?
These are all the challenges you can unlock. And for your viewing pleasure, we've unlocked them all. So this is the machine gun challenge right here, and you see curly brace right here.
Yeah.
And you have to go through and get through it as fast as possible. So right here you see the timer at the top, and you can post your time on leaderboards. So there's a lot of elements in the Switch version that were not in the original version that make it a lot of fun to play as you boost around through the level. So right here you can see some of the lighting on the level and different things that we put in. But we're going to continue to sort of support and patch in new challenges to the game, new story modes, and various things to the game so that we keep supporting it. We've done it for Isaac, which we'll talk about later maybe, but we'll do it for this game as well because the players love it. And it's not paid DLC.
Right.
You're not paying to buy.
I read about that, yeah.
So it's just, you just buy the game and you know, in a few months you'll load it up and it'll say like, oh, there's an update available for it. You download it. And one of the updates that we have planned that right now is currently working in dev mode is two-player mode, which has never been seen in Cave Story that people have been asking for. And something else that you were asking for was pizza.
I was.
And I'm going to give you some pizza right now.
Yeah, oh man, there's no shellfish in this one either.
Here you go,
right?
No, it's shellfish free, so there you go.
Shellfish free, okay, so as we keep talking and hanging, this is actually a real pizza.
It's a real pizza.
It's a real pizza.
Did you not trust him?
Yeah, no, I didn't know. Because I don't know what's going on. You're messing with me now.
No,
you're giving me chocolate, real chocolate,
and
real pizza, real games, and you're talking about real things too.
Wait till the camera goes on.
Wait, oh, what? No! This is amazing.
It's amazing.
Everything's amazing. Why do you think this is like the game that just, it has so much charm to it? Fans love this game. Why?
I love this game.
I know. Tell me. Why do you think it is? What is it about this one?
The first time I played it, it had that magic. Like you remember being a kid, you play your Nintendo, your Genesis, whatever it is, or I guess PlayStation now for some kids. And there's a game where you're like, oh, this feels really special. And this game reminded me of my childhood, even though I hadn't played it, obviously, and I played it in adulthood. And it has that feeling, that magic touch.
That magic,
Absolutely, he captured it. I don't know how he bottled it, but he was able to give the feeling of like, oh, there's this really classic feel. The way that the character shoots, the way that he moves, the way the pizza smells.
Yeah.
Everything about it, he was able to do it. And I think it came down to, he never intended to make any money off of this game. He wanted to just get it out there and have as many people play it. And he just wanted to, he told me, he thought this was the last game he'd ever make.
Yeah.
So if it was the last game he was ever going to make, he poured everything
into
all his entire soul into it.
Was this his first game?
It wasn't his first game, but it was his first fairly large endeavor. He actually stopped sometime during the development of this one and made another game because he felt that this was too overwhelming for him, or it was too.
It was just taking everything.
It was taking everything from him. So he made another game, which was a smaller project, and he finished that one, went back, and then he gave the world Cave Story.
That's amazing.
What was his reaction when you guys found him? Reach out to him.
The words he kept using in interviews when we would translate the interviews for him, he said it's like a dream. I feel like I'm in a dream and I haven't woken up yet, because he had this game and he lives in Kyoto, which is a headquarters where Nintendo headquarters are. So for his game to be on a Nintendo console and to be so closely embraced by Nintendo was. I guess a dream is the easiest way to put it. It's a dream, yeah.
It's one of those things. So that's why you call yourself the Dream Maker.
That goes back to my business cards used to say producer.
Right.
And somebody said that it was oh, that's a really boring title. You should be called the Designer of Dreams.
Wow.
I said, I'll do it. Why not?
Yeah, well, when you do it, it's your own company. Sure,
That's
why
right,
not?
right.
Yeah, you
I
can
can't
call
get
yourself
fired for it, right?
No, you
I
can
don't
actually give yourself a raise and a bonus and all sorts of stuff.
So this is outer wall right here, or inner wall right here, and this is another one of the challenge modes to Cave Story, where when the original Cave Story was being made and he had finished it, some of the testers said, "Oh, this is really fun, but can you give me a really tough level?
Yeah.
Can you give me a really?" And they're crazy, but they had been playing the game for hundreds of hours, helping him test it, and the mode he came up with was actually Bloodstained Sanctuary right here, which is hell, what we're going to see right here, and this is originally the most difficult and sort of harrowing level in the game, where without too many spoilers, this really kind of puts a kind of nice ribbon and bow on the game and kind of wraps it up quite well. But after we had released Cave Story, we thought, well, what if we took the same concept and we made more levels for the player where they could really challenge themselves? Because Cave Story is really fun because of the theme and the story and the elements, but people also like it because it feels so good to play and die in.
Yeah,
right?
just like that. Pop,
just like
pop.
that.
Minus 127 right away.
Died.
That's it.
Yeah, he's totally popped on that one. Incredible stuff, man. Wasn't he like a fax machine repairman?
He was, when I met him, he was writing printer drivers. For,
So you have to explain that, because wow, you told me that once before. What the hell does that even mean? He was writing printer drivers.
So you have a printer like an HP, yeah. So he's a programmer, and you have like an Epson or an HP printer, and just like anything else, it needs software to talk to your computer to be able to print out whatever you decide to print out, and that was his day job. And then he'd write printer drivers.
That's crazy.
He'd go home and he'd make this.
So he was coding for printers, and now he was coding for video games.
Now that's his full-time job.
Yeah, well, I mean, the video game one sounds way cooler.
I think
Because
so.
if you were to ask him, like, what if Cave Story never came out? Hey, what do? You ever, like, need an update for a printer?
That's right, I'm your man.
I'm your dude. Like, you ever get that one update, and it's like, yo, I fixed everything. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, everything just synced up. It's perfect now. That was me.
That was him. But
Right.
instead, he gave us Cave Story.
Is he in contact with his fans? I mean,
He talks a little bit with, his English isn't pretty, he's probably a little bit of English, so he doesn't talk too much with his fans, uses a lot of Google Translate. We communicate pretty regularly, but he will communicate with his fans if they send him a message on Twitter, or his Japanese fans, obviously. So he tries to be pretty active, but at the same time, he's also pretty private. So
Yes.
He tries to communicate and interact with his fans, but at the same time, he's a game developer and he makes games. And then he wants his private time, just like anybody else. So
yeah, well, the games speak for him more than enough.
I get lost in it, man. So tiny and cute.
I think at this point, I could possibly be the person who's played it the most in the world in terms of hours, just with all the testing for the versions that we've done.
Yeah,
but I still really enjoy going back and playing with it and just seeing what he did. It's so much fun, and the improvements that I feel that we did for the Switch version don't take away from the game. They just take it to a slightly different level, where if you're a new player and you haven't played it, the touches that we put in add a little bit of kind of a modern look to it, so that it doesn't detract from the pixel art. Right here, we're looking at the jukebox. So at any time, as you've played the game and you unlock an area, you'll be able to actually listen to the song in that area. And right there where you see remastered with the LNR, we've actually put 4 different versions of the soundtrack in the game. So we have Cave Story Plus, which is the version for Cave Story Plus. And then Organya is the actual original PC soundtrack. We have a remaster version. And then just for the Switch version, we also did a Famitracks version, which is it's made with a Famicom. So it sounds like an NES.
What? That's rad, man.
Yeah, it's really fun. And the Famitracks version is that CD that you won't be able to play because you don't have a CD player.
I mean, can you give me a USB stick?
I could probably do it.
You could probably have done that, but
Yeah.
yeah, man, CD players, dude.
CD players. I mean, so go find a $4 CD player. Like
Are they
Salvation
only
Army.
$4 now? Dude,
Yeah,
they
I
used
went
to
to
be so
Salvation Army and I
expensive.
found one to test
Did
the
it
master.
work?
It worked right away.
You bought a CD player, Salvation Army?
I did.
That's amazing.
Where else are you gonna get one?
I don't know. I don't
Radio
know.
Shack, right?
Yeah, Radio Shack. I guess
Yeah, Radio
yeah.
Shack.
They still-
Radio Shack. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So taking
cool.
it back to the '90s.
Oh man.
Was there anything he said no to when you were talking
Yeah.
about changing his game, updating anything?
He was very positive, and I think he understood that I'm a big hardcore fanboy for K4, even when I contacted him, and everything that I wanted to do was true to the game. So there were never any issues. Actually, there is one thing. There's a spike in the first cave that I said, everybody keeps running into the spike, and they die the first time they play. And then his response was, well, maybe they should pay better attention.
Oh wow.
So
you left that then?
we left it. We left it. So yeah. So it's a spike where you're sliding off of this little area cave. Yeah, of course you are.
I hate that one.
You know that spike?
You know that spike. Yeah.
I don't pay attention to
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
And then I started paying attention because it kept dying over and over and over. How hard was it to do the translation?
It wasn't difficult at all because we were working directly with him, and then we had native Japanese translators who would bring it into English, and then we would work with them and saying like, what did you mean by this line, or what did you mean by this? So we really tried to nail down like little nuances of what the translation could and couldn't mean, because you could translate a game, but it's a very big responsibility to localize it properly, and that's what we wanted to do because people are really, Cave Story is very dear to people.
Yes,
and
this
getting
game
it wrong
means
would
a
ruin it.
lot to people.
Yeah.
This is like a game that a lot of people hold very close to their heart. Well, it's because it's full of charm and it's just magical.
And very hard.
And yes, dude, that's the one thing I also knew. It's like really hard.
It gets pretty difficult later on.
I was playing on the 3DS, man, and it was like, talk about hard. Boy, it's like very small back
Now
then.
you got 6 inches, John. What are you gonna do with it?
I'm gonna watch it.
That's right.
It changes the entire world, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great way to play. As I said, we have a handheld mode which you can play. You can play it on TV. We actually went through a lot of effort because it was difficult to get it pixel perfect. It's probably about 90% pixel perfect because the resolutions vary between a TV and a Switch. But we're pretty happy with how it turned out. It looks the way it should.
What is the dynamic whenever it's 2 players? Do you even want to go into
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
Does it change it up?
We took what we did with 1001 Spikes and with Isaac. Like I said, it'd been so many years of people saying like, I want to play with a friend. I want to play with a friend. And actually getting the functionality for it to work with you and me having a Joy-Con or both of you having a Joy-Con is relatively straightforward. But there's certain things that we have to keep track of, like what happens when one of you falls off the screen, what happens when one of you goes left and right. So I'll start a game, you'll start a game, and you'll just jump in. And it's kind of like Contra, like the same.
Oh, yeah, the
Contra was a
Contra
big
style,
inspiration
yeah.
for 1001 Spikes and for Isaac, where you just jump in, I steal your life, we play, and then I die, and I keep stealing more of your life. With this, we made it so that it's a little bit different, but one of you will be Quirly, one of you will be Quote, and there'll be other characters that you might be able to unlock. And that'll come later in the summer as I said, as a free patch. And you'll be able to play both the story mode and any of the challenge modes with a friend. And the challenge modes are pretty great for multiplayer because they're designed in a way where
They're designed, yeah.
they're very much like an action-oriented experience.
Wow.
But even the single-player mode, like we have fun just like, hey, let's go this way, or fighting a boss. And we've put in a strafe in the game now, so it makes it really fun to like kind of like sandwich a boss, and you'll be able to hold the shoulder button and fire backwards, which wasn't in the original version. And that was an inspiration from his latest game, Carol Blaster. Where in Carol Blaster, that he has on PS4 and on PC and on iPhone, you can lock the shooting and you can go back and forth, and it's independent of your movement. So we added it to Cave Story, and it feels really natural and it feels really good.
That's rad, man.
Yeah.
Tell me an Easter egg from the game. Something you've never told anyone. Do you have anything?
Let's see.
Yeah, you have so many of them, I bet.
Yeah, there's a few in there.
Figure it out, because we got other games
We got
coming
other
up
games,
from-
yeah.
So yeah, let's just figure out.